Welcome back to another beautiful day in the land of music. My name is Douglas, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to rename or name live sets within your Yamaha YC. Let's jump right into this. In the last video I made, and I'll link that here so you can go watch that if you want, on the differences between voices and live sets, we made a kind of a quick sound here. So let's say we want to rename that sound, because when we saved it just as the name that it was, which Natural CFX was what we kind of built that voice from another live set and then saved that. So we want to rename this to something fancy. To do this, all we have to do is within our live set, so a quick little tip here, underneath your main screen, there's this live set section, this section with a whole bunch of buttons, but there's a black background to a bunch of these buttons. These are all the ones that pertain to the live set that we currently have called up here. And you'll notice one other thing I'm doing here, we have this delay going on. It rings on and on and on and on. To get rid of that, we can just double tap on the live set sound button, and that cuts the sound and reloads it. So the way that the seamless sound switching works on the Yamaha YC, if I'm playing this, switch to live set sound 2, my previous one carries. And if I come back, and so one way that we can not have the seamless sound switching is to double tap or tap it a second time. So let's say I come here, I can tap on my number 2 twice, and it cuts the previous one. I digress. Couple little tips for you there. So we want to rename this. This black background, again, shows us the buttons that pertain to the live set we have selected. So what we're going to do is tap on this settings button here and make sure you're on the sound that you want to rename or name. You're going to tap on settings, and then we're going to scroll with the encoder all the way down to this name option. I'm going to press down on the encoder. That's going to bring up the naming dialog here in the menu. Now, we have a few things that we can do here. You'll notice this white highlighted section down below shows numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8. And these buttons are lit up here with these LEDs. Those correspond to these functions on the screen. So we have 1 and 2, which are our move back and forth. And what this does is there's a little line underneath the letter, and that shows us the active letter that we're going to be changing. So we can move that line, and you'll notice it moves over. So we could say we want to delete this current name. To delete, we have delete function here, which is tied to our number 4 button. So we can tap on this, and it deletes whatever letter is highlighted with that little cursor under there. So what we could do is move all the way back to the N, and then we could tap on delete, and it's going to slide everything back as we delete it. So we're just going to go ahead and delete all of these. And what we want to do is now we want to pick the letter. So let's call this plucky. And so what we're going to do is use our encoder to scroll through the letters, do a capital P, and to select that, you would think maybe you press down on the encoder. Wrong. It's insert, which is number 3. So we're going to tap on insert, and it's going to move our cursor to the next letter slot. So now we're going to scroll and find the lowercase l, and I won't tell you how to spell plucky, but we can continue to do this. So I usually leave one hand on my encoder to select the letter, and then one hand on the 3, and that is my insert. So I'm going to go and go plucky like that. So there's a couple other things we can do here as well. So tapping on number 8 is going to clear everything. And we could have done that instead of tapping delete a whole bunch of times. 7 is going to revert it back to the previous saved name. So if we tapped on that, it would go back to that Natural CFX, which is what it was named previously. And so those are what those do. 5 is going to modify the letter that our cursor is over rather than inserting a new one. So if we wanted to change it to plocky instead of plucky, I could select the O and I could tap on modify, and it's going to change it to plocky instead of plucky. If I had just done insert, it would have added the O to the right of the U, which is not what we wanted. So those are the different functions. Again, we can move back and forth here. And when we're ready to save our sound, all we've got to do is press down on the encoder. And one thing before we do that, if you want to exit, not save your changes, you just tap exit and move out of there. But we want to save this, so we're going to press down on the encoder, and it says store live set. It defaults to do not store. You've got to scroll up to the store option, press down again, and then it says, do you want to save this to where you were already selected? So we were already on 20-1 for live set 20, live set sound 1. And so, yes, we want to save it there. We could change that, save it somewhere else if we wanted. So, for example, if you wanted to make a copy of one of your live set sounds, you could do the rename, and then you could store that to another spot. So one little quick tip there. So we're going to press down again, saying we want to store it there. It says completed, and then it's going to move away from that screen. And now we have this plocky sound. So there you go. That's how you name sounds and use the name function within the settings menu. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, throw those down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching. Stay inspired and keep making that music.